And I was going through it in a very different way at the time. That was when I was bouncing around and couch surfing and sleeping in my car and all that crap.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old were you?
19.
Okay, so this was right after high school.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
18, 19, I got kicked out.
Why? if you can share. If you don't.
So, premarital sex. That was the reason why. And my parents found out, and that was a sticking point for them, being very, very religious. And yeah. There were other things that led up to it, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
That's
And then the degeneracy just got worse from there. But that's neither here nor there.
no, that's like, yeah, that's just like really religious. Like, dang.
I mean, I went to Catholic school my whole life. I went to Christian school, from the time I was literally kindergarten to graduating high school. That was religious education. I went to technically I went to a Seventh-day Adventist school for 2 years because they couldn't get me into the Catholic school.
Oh,
because there was a waiting list.
Okay.
Yes.
So like, was it like all your friends and everyone you grew up around all went to Catholic schools?
Yeah.
Because this is in Miami, right?
Yeah. So I grew up in Hialeah.
Right.
And so I went to a Catholic school in Hialeah. And I went to church in Hialeah.
Right.
And we were super deep into the church.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't an altar boy, but I was all the other things. I started in youth ministry very young.
Like how young are we talking?
Like 9.
Okay.
So I started helping out when I was like 9-ish.
Yeah.
And by the time that I graduated high school, I was leading the youth ministry at my church.
Oh.
One of the leaders. I wasn't the leader, but I was a leader.
Right, yeah.
Helping out on Sundays every week, doing all the stuff, leading retreats.
Yeah.
Religion was a very important part of my life for a lot of years.
Okay.
And that was part of the reason of the kick out was losing interest in the faith and going out on my own and doing my own thing.
Okay. Was this like, were you in college at that 18, 19?
Yeah.
I know you're living at home.
So I graduated when I was 17 because I started early.
Okay. Okay. I graduated at 17 as well. But it was because of my birthday. Yeah.
Same. Being a September birthday.
Okay.
It was like right on the cusp. Technically, I was over the line, but it was just over. So they're like, it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
I was passing they have like these placement exam things.
Right.
I was crushing them.
Right.
So they're like, he'll do fine academics. Who cares?
Yeah.
Except I was that small. I was already short to begin with.
Yeah.
And I was always smaller than all the other kids.
Right.
So
how tall are you?
5'8".
Okay.
So but I became 5'8" in senior year of high school.
Okay.
I was like 5'2" when I started high school.
Okay.
Yeah. I was small.
Yeah, my oldest brother, it was something similar. I think he started high school. He was like 5 foot, 90 pounds. And it's so hard to like conceptualize that because I remember he was telling me how, like, he's like, yeah, he couldn't get any girls, of course, because you're 14.
And you're 14 looking like you're 10.
Right. And there's like girls there that look like adults.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
And, it's, I went to Christian school, so it's, the dressing is not as provocative in some of the other schools. And because we had a very like strict dress code, like the girls had to wear a certain kind of pants.
Yeah.
And skirts could only be up to this length.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they would literally staple girls' skirt. They would tear the hems out. Like, they would hem them shorter, and then the school would go in and cut the hem so that it would be longer.
Oh.
Oh, it was nuts.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't traumatizing to them at all.
I mean, and they're talking about it in my reunion chat.
Damn.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's just messed up. I remember I was at like a previous job. I must have been about like 25, 26. I was wearing a top kind of like this, like a tank. And, there's people who wear tanks at the job like occasionally. Okay. And then one day like my manager came up to me and she was like, "This is so awkward."
The boss was already came up to you and started with "This is awkward."
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh
Because she
no.
was just not.
Oh,
It wasn't because of.
Not a great way to start a conversation.
No, yeah, it was like because of what somebody told her to tell me. So that's why it was just because she didn't care.
Right, but it's one of those things where
I was like, yeah, so you gotta like put on like a sweater, like something over.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know whoever that was, but whoever
more
that
policing women's bodies. Let's go.
Yeah, but like whoever that was, like if I see you in a KFC parking lot, it's on.
Some crotchety old folks is what it is. Yeah. It's always these people who are holier than thou that feel the need to tell people what they can and can't wear, when and where, and they can wear it and all that nonsense.
I was like, I'm getting my work done. Like, who is like that's so messed up when you think about it. It's like people like. I don't know. I don't know. Like that. It's still like.
I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's men writing women.
Oh yeah, I've seen
tropes.
Yeah.
And when people talk about stuff like that, it always makes me think of like she boobily walked over with
her breasts boobily
yes,
down the hall.
100%. It's like, come on, people. Like, yes, women have bodies. Like, just knock it off. Look, I like looking at them too, just like most other, straight men.
Yeah.
Guess what? I can keep my fucking mouth shut. Keep that shit to yourself, son. Right. It ain't that hard.
I know. It's like, why are they? It's like we're not like that conscious of it, Anyway, but yeah, I do want to, I guess, introduce the podcast.
Oh, we probably should do that, shouldn't we?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this my new podcast series, Moment of Clarity. I'm here with my good friend Chris. Chris is, as was aforementioned, a Catholic man from Hialeah. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, all of those things were true at some point.
But you're still from Hialeah.
Never stop being from Hialeah, but you can escape. I promise you. If you try hard enough, you can escape.
I have friends who would fight you for that.
Well, they're trying to resell Hialeah as a part of Miami. Hialeah is the Brooklyn of South Florida now.
Really?
That's what they're marketing it as.
Oh my god.
And when you look at the property values, you go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah,
the house that I grew up in, there's no way I can afford that house.
I know. Like the prices of everything have just skyrocketed. But yeah, Chris, I did want to ask, how did you get into like anime and nerd culture?
Nerd culture has been a part of my life for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't remember when I got into it because I was too young. Yeah. To the point where there is video evidence of my third Christmas playing video games with my cousin. We were playing Castlevania 3 on the NES. Yeah. And so this is my third Christmas, and I'm already engaging in what would be nerd culture. Right. Yeah. Loving Star Wars. I don't remember not loving Star Wars. I don't remember not loving comic books. I can't think of a time when that didn't exist. Yeah. Because I always engaged in that stuff. I always loved those stories, and I loved the feeling of like good over evil, and the bad guys always lose, and that was always a fun and entertaining type of media for me. Anime came later. Okay. So I guess you could call it the American part of it was, young childhood. Yeah. But the Japanese part of it and understanding that it was Japanese came much later.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that makes Pokemon, sense. I think, was the first time that I engaged with something and knowing it was from Japan. Gotcha. And that wasn't until 94, 95. Okay. So 7 or 8 years old at that point. Yeah. Like I knew that things like Dragon Ball Z existed. I knew that like Sailor Moon existed. Right. I knew those were things that existed, but I didn't really understand at the time, oh, this is Japanese anime. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely later when I engaged, and then I went whole hog
Right.
and just really dove into it because it felt like I liked that, especially anime was a lot more of a continuous story.
True, yeah.
Because American cartoons were not that way.
No, it was just like each episode was its own story.
Yeah, if you could pick an episode of G.I. Joe, and you could pick any of them and then watch another episode right after, and it didn't matter where you were in the story, and it didn't matter. All the characters were there, it did its nonsense, and then it was over.
Yeah.
I liked that there was a continuous story being told.
Right.
It just made it hard to follow because you never knew when it was going to be on. And
oh, yeah, true. And like, especially with Dragon Ball Z, after the Namek Frieza saga, it would just go right back to Raditz for years, I think.
For years and years and years. You're basically spending 6 or 7 years trying to get 4 more episodes.
Right, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
And then it really took off for me in high school.
Okay, was it like...
High school was like the
friends?
Big push. It was, part of it was the friends.
Okay.
The other part was that we finally started to get high-speed internet.
Fair.
Having high-speed internet and having access to fan subs.
Okay.
Fan subs were the big thing at the time.
When Crunchyroll was like...
well, Crunchyroll didn't even exist yet. There was no Crunchyroll.
Okay.
I mean, I remember, and I'm not even the most aged of people who are like this. You used to be able to have to go buy these fan subs at like the shady anime depot in the back because they were all illegal rips.
Right.
VHS rips that they would hard code subtitles on. And it was like $30 in the 90s for 3 episodes. So I couldn't afford that shit.
Right, yeah.
I didn't have a job.
Right.
My parents certainly weren't going to buy that crap.
Oh, no.
So we would, once it became available online, and I remember, going to my friend's house, and he'd have like 5 episodes queued up in Kazaa, and then LimeWire after that.
Yeah.
And then he discovered torrenting. Pirating is what really opened the door for anime for me.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, it'd be like for him and like just like everybody else, for sure.
And we obviously this is very illegal, but it's way past the statute of limitations now, so I have no problem admitting it. I'm not going to name names, but
okay,
I have no problem admitting it. But we would download all these episodes, put them on CDs, and do like watch parties at school. We had an anime club at our high school. We didn't start it. It started I think the year before I got there.
Yeah.
But we would bring that stuff in and watch anime that we definitely shouldn't have been watching. We almost got the club shut down my first year because they played oh my god, what was the name of it? Kite has some pretty explicit stuff in it.
Okay.
It's not porn by any stretch of the imagination, but it is not okay for Catholic school.
Or like high school kids.
I mean, high school. It's fine for high school kids, but not for Catholic school.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Is Catholic school like K through 12, or is it like different schools?
So it depends. Some schools are, some schools aren't.
Okay.
The elementary I went to was actually an elementary middle school, so it was K through 8.
Okay.
And then there was a high school that was normal high school, 9 to 12.
Gotcha.
But there are plenty of the smaller schools that are basically cradle to grave.
Yeah, dang.
They have preschool all the way through to basically college.
Gotcha. Were there any like fictional characters that you like admired or emulated growing up?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Being the nerd.
Yes.
And being kind of the token nerd at the time, especially in my own family.
Okay.
Me and my cousin were kind of the ones into nerdy things, but he wasn't like nerdy. Mm-hmm. I was the nerd, so I always like gravitated towards the nerdy characters.
Gotcha.
Billy in Power Rangers.
Okay.
Donatello in the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
Like these are archetypes that I love. I love that nerdy guy because he always, got his comeuppance. He's smart and he's going to make it happen with his brain. And I love that because I always thought of myself as a smart kid.
Right.
I always performed well in school.
Right.
I loved that stuff.
Yeah.
I loved learning. And I still love learning.
Yeah.
So I always loved the characters who were like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to solve it with logic. Mm-hmm. Love that. I love that.
That's dope. That's cool. I mean, I liked Sailor Mercury growing up for like the longest. And I think it probably could have been that. Like, I really don't know why.
She was a smart one.
Yeah, she was the smart one. It was like,
But she was bouncing off of, Serena, who's kind of a moron.
well, yeah, like anyone's smart next to Serena though.
Right.
So in like middle school and high school, what did you do outside of school? Did you like do sports?
I did a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So my parents knew that I really liked video games and reading and all that stuff, but they wanted us to do more than just that.
Right. Yeah.
So I always had some sort of physical thing to do on top of the mental stuff I like to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So I played sports my whole life.
Okay.
Into adulthood, I played sports. So I played soccer, I played tennis, I played golf, I played football, I wrestled, I did karate, I did judo, I did jujitsu. What else did I do?
You swam too, right?
I did swim.
Yeah.
That was later.
Okay.
That was in like the high school era.
Gotcha.
And a little bit in the middle school. I did a couple years of they would do these shorter seasons. So I always played sports. The only thing I didn't play was baseball because that was like a cult.
Okay.
Cubans in Miami treat children's baseball like a cult.
Jeez.
It is completely cuckoo. Technically he's my cousin, but he's more like my nephew.
Okay.
I'm
Caribbean.
You know how Caribbean people are.
Yeah, that's fair.
His dad is kind of psycho about him playing baseball. The kid has been playing only baseball since the kid was 4.
Okay.
And he plays baseball all year round. All they do on the weekends is travel the baseball.
Damn.
That is his life.
Damn.
His life is his kid's baseball. And when it's out of season, guess what? There's a travel league. We're going to go play some more baseball. So the kid never gets a break.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
And the people who play baseball in South Florida, if you're a baseball player, that's your entire life. You play baseball.
That's crazy. So I feel like everywhere else it's football for that. In that case, so like
I would say football, and typically what a lot of the schools do now is if you're in football, when you're not in season, you're on track.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Or you're in
that's
wrestling.
True. Yeah, that is true.
And actually in my high school, they would make the linemen do dance.
Oh.
So they would have agility.
Yeah.
So you got this big 300-pound, 6'4", 15-year-old.
Yeah.
In dance, doing his little pirouettes. But it worked. It actually made them more agile and more flexible and stuff.
Right, absolutely. As they should.
But yeah, I did do a lot. And then I was in Boy Scouts.
Oh, right.
I did Boy Scouts for 10 years.
Okay.
That was the longest thing that I did.
Oh.
And I loved Boy Scouts for forever and forever.
Yeah.
It got to the point where it became very uncool. Especially in my junior, senior year that, I'm wearing my little short shorts and with my little... neckerchief.
Yeah.
It wasn't very cool.
Right.
It wasn't very cool in 2005 to be wearing a neckerchief.
Yeah. Were you like getting teased at school or were you feeling like subconscious?
I felt subconscious about it.
Okay.
Nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody. No, people had their own nonsense to deal with in retrospect, but I
Right,
definitely felt uncool.
Right, yeah.
Which was, it kind of led into the whole, self-esteem stuff of I'm real smart, but I'm nerdy. And then that leads down a path that could go very, very poorly.
Yeah.
And I started to go down that way.
Right.
Like on the self-esteem and self-worth stuff. Eventually I pulled myself out of that. But as an adult, not as a teenager.
Right, yeah. I don't think anyone pulled themselves out when they're a teenager. That'd be incredible if they did.
You just have that moment of clarity
Right.
in English. Like, oh no, I don't need to hate myself. This would be great.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Did you have a girlfriend in high school?
I had... Girlfriend is loose. Especially high school. Like in high school, yeah, we totally were boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right, yeah.
But in retrospect, it was like we dated for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, no. But it's like 6 weeks of lead up before you have the stones to ask, will you be my girlfriend? Can we go on dates?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I think 3 girls that I dated in high school.
Okay.
Four girls I dated in high school.
Okay.
To various lengths. I think the longest was like 5 months in high school, and that was like I'm graduating, and then I stayed with them for another 4 months.
Oh, okay. So like they were still in high school? Like,
Yeah, they were a year younger.
Right. Yeah, I gotcha.
So
okay.
They were still in high school.
Yeah.
Which definitely felt weird, like towards the end, where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go pick up my girlfriend from school.
Like it's weird because it's not a massive age difference and everything.
No, and she was older for her grade too. Like she was on the higher like birthdays for her grade, so we were only like 8 months apart.
Okay, yeah. But it's still just like
it felt weird.
Yeah, because you guys are also like in different stages of your life too. Because you're like going to college and then
and she was still figuring herself out. She was a closet lesbian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Followed by another closet lesbian.
Was this in college?
No, this is high school. Oh, she figured it out in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We stayed kind of friendly.
Yeah.
I talk to her every once in a while, even now. She runs a dog, not breeding, but dog training stuff. She's super huge into animals.
Yeah.
Like, I've never met anyone who loves animals as much as this woman did.
Right.
So she got deep into that game. Like, the business that she's working with does like training tools for like professional dog trainers.
Oh, so she trains the dog trainers.
She does that, and she also trains dogs.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
That's
a dope.
And then a couple other. I actually don't know what happened to one of them. And then the other girl. Super nice. I run into her at Disney all the time.
Yeah.
She's a Disney adult.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I are, and she's a lot more hardcore than we are, though.
Right. Yeah.
Like she got engaged to Disney.
Oh,
like she's one of those.
Yeah.
And I don't say that like in a negative way. Like she loves it. She goes. She has a great time. You know, people do whatever the hell they want to.
Right. Yeah.
She's super nice. I just met her a couple times now because we've run into her.
You're right.
Times.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really play the field until college. Like,
okay, what did playing the field look like in college?
Like actively engaging with women at the time, not like, oh, this person's my friend and I actually like them. Not like, hey, that girl's cute, let me go talk to her.
Okay,
I wasn't doing that in high school.
Gotcha.
I was friends with women first before I became romantically interested in them.
Okay,
and then in college you're meeting so many new people,
right? Yeah.
And it was like, well, I don't have time to become friends with someone first before I want to try to engage with them. But I'm still at the time I was still dealing with like the self-esteem issues and feelings of self-worth, and then I got into a long-term relationship that was fucking horrible. In retrospect, it was such a bad idea, and that was for 3 years.
How old were you?
We got together when I was 19.
Okay.
And we broke up like a month before my 21st birthday.
Okay.
And it was bad. That was an emotionally and physically abusive relationship.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Like she would hit you?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Especially more towards the end.
Yeah.
More towards the end. So that ended spectacularly. There's a car chase in that. Yeah. I'm not even joking. I ran out and got in my car and drove off, and she chased me.
I don't want to stereotype. Was she Latina?
Of course she was.
Sorry.
I have only ever dated one non-Latina.
What was she?
She was from, oh my God. She was from an African country, but I can't remember which one it was. It might be the Gambia, but I can't remember.
Okay.
And we only dated for like 3 months, and then she got super pissy with me because I went to a bachelor party, and she's like, "You went to a bachelor party? They go to strip clubs." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what you do at bachelor parties."
Yeah.
And she got all jealous and stuff. I'm like, "I do not have time for you. I do not have time for somebody who's jealous like that."
Right. How old were you?
I was 21.
Okay, so this was right after the...
It was right after the breakup.
Okay.
After the breakup, I kind of went on like a spree of, dating like crazy, and hooking up with people and like being kind of a man slut, if you will.
You go your hoe phase.
That was my hoe phase. Well, it was all so. My hoe phase was also my transformation phase. That was when I had spent the time and effort on not being a person who hated myself and working to become a person who loved myself.
Okay, gotcha.
It took me about a year-ish. About 3 months before I met Aisha, that's when I had kind of finished the work that I was working on and felt like I was ready to start like looking for a real partner and not just for fun time person.
Right, yeah. That's sort of similar to like when I met Jacob, I was kind of just like done with just like doing casual stuff. I was like, no, I'm done.
And it's not like the casual stuff is bad.
It's not.
But you do like to have those moments where, you're there for each other and it's not transactional.
Yeah.
Because hookups feel very transactional.
Yeah.
Like, we're here for a good time. We're not here for a long time.
Right, yeah. And sometimes you just want somebody there for a long time.
Yeah. Or at least the illusion of it.
Right, yeah.
When there's no illusion, it can feel you feel a little dirty sometimes.
Yeah. It's definitely it's very hollow, very empty.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I do think hoe phases are necessary, though.
I think everyone should have a hoe phase.
I agree. I'm on the same page.
Regardless of your gender, you should have a time where you go, you know what? I am going to be with as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Safely.
Of course, yeah.
Safely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't go out there literally walking the streets. It's a bad idea. Man or woman, doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah,
no matter who you are. How long do you think a hoe phase should be? I don't know. I kind of just categorize a hoe phase. Like, it doesn't have to be like, 3 people a week or 1 person a week a month. It could just be like once 1 month. It could be a couple of months past and like another, and just being casual but not serious.
I don't think that you ever have to stop having hoetry, if you will. Or your slut era. It could be a floating time.
Yeah.
I think it provides something to you. It boosts you, I think. Yeah. In certain ways.
What did your hoe phase do for you?
It definitely gave me confidence.
Okay.
It gave me confidence in me as a person, that people found me physically attractive, mentally attractive, and that they were interested in me.
Yeah.
The physical part was definitely nice because I always felt like I wasn't good enough before. And that gave me... So after working through all that stuff, you go, I am enough, God damn it.
Yeah, you are.
And then it would be confirmed in that hoe era.
Right, yeah.
Where you're like, yeah, people do want me for my body. Hell yeah. Now, obviously, again, you don't want to do this forever.
Right, yeah, no.
At least I didn't want to do it forever.
Right.
Some people, they don't need companionship. I know a handful of people who are happily non-coupled.
Right.
They still go out and they find a fun time and friends with benefits and stuff like that. And that's the way they like to live their life because they can't stand the idea of waking up next to somebody every day.
Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg has like a famous quote where somebody asked her if she'll get married again, and she was like, "I don't really want somebody in my house." I don't disagree with her. I think that some people, that is the right play. Yeah.
And so many people get all up in each other's business about that stuff. Yeah. And it's like, dude, it's my life. Don't fucking worry about it. Like, you live your life the way you want to live it.
Right.
And I'm going to do mine.
Would you say that your hoe phase was like a stereotypical masculine thing? Like, what was like a stereotypical masculine thing that you did?
My hoe phase was definitely leaning on that. There's when my wife and I were first dating, I was just leaving the pop collar stage of my life.
Okay.
I definitely, it was slightly post puka shells, wayfarers at the club. Like, it wasn't that but it was just right after that. That preppy bro-y stage.
Right.
That I was definitely in that, and I was in it for a little while. And I had fun with it. I had a great time. You know, it's not, you can look that way and not treat people like dog shit.
Yeah.
It is possible, I promise you. But yeah, I definitely look like a stereotype.
Yeah.
You know, I would wear the beanie to the club with Wayfarers on, with my pop collar, or the really low V-neck.
Oh yeah. I was like, I guess the metrosexual phase.
Kinda.
Like
There was a vibe.
Yeah, I don't know which came first, metrosexual to like that preppy like double pop collar axe all over the place.
I didn't like the axe thing. That
Okay.
I could say I avoided. I never really was super into the smell of the axe.
Yeah.
But I definitely did all those other things.
Okay.
That was definitely on the menu for me. We would at the time, there were a couple of my other friends were single at the same time, so we would go to oh man, what was the name of that place? Passions at the Hard Rock.
Oh yeah, I like Passions.
And that was like my spot.
Yeah.
I would go to Murphy's Law, the pub
Yeah.
that was right there.
Right.
I'd have 2 Irish car bombs.
Okay, of course.
Because I just pound them real quick.
Yeah. Because you're in your 20s.
I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is I always had to work the weekends. The job that I had, I worked Saturday morning and I worked Sunday morning.
Gotcha.
So I would go in, I would get to the club at like, I don't know, 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the early crowd, but I would get drunk real early so that by 2 or 3 in the morning, I was fine.
Yeah.
I could drive home.
Right.
Because I would go to Passions, but I lived in South Miami.
Okay.
Because I didn't like going to Miami beach clubs, like Mansion and Space and 11 and all those places.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. I actually liked that it was an older crowd. The Passions always felt like late 20s, early 30s.
Gotcha. Especially this was like Friday night.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did a lot of Thursday nights. I don't know why.
Because you're in your 20s. Everyone did Thursday.
That's
night.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thursdays. You had those deals.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being broke all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So you were out of your parents' place
Yes.
at that point. So like when you were kicked out of your parents' place, was that like one of your lowest moments?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When I got kicked out, I was straight up homeless. I had lived in my car. I used to sleep in the piano room at FIU.
Mm-hmm.
I would crash on couches when I could. I started sleeping at my girlfriend's house. She lived with her parents, by the way. I would sneak in and sleep on the couch in her like little office area in the back. She had like a little like gaming room.
Okay.
I would sleep in there, and then eventually she convinced her parents to let me stay there until I found a spot. So I stayed there for like a month.
Okay. How was that?
It sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good time. It was not.
Yeah.
Especially, you are used to a support network for a long time, and I had no money. I had no people, and I was making it work.
Right.
So thankfully I had a job.
Okay.
But it was only 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
So that was rough. But I was able to get some more hours, and that helped me get through it. And eventually I found a place. I was there for like a month. Mm-hmm. And then it was with 5 other dudes sharing a 3-bedroom apartment. And I was there for a month. And and then they were horse playing in my room that I shared, by the way.
Right, yeah.
It was a shared room. And they tackled one of the other roommates, who weighed about 400 pounds, onto my bed and split the frame of my bed in half that I had just bought at the Kmart.
Oh, God.
So I got pissed at them.
Of course, yeah.
And told them they need to buy me a new bed. And they retaliated by kicking me out. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So, very reasonable thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You broke my bed.
Yeah.
And fucking pay for it.
Yeah, you need to sleep comfortably.
And they told me to go fuck myself, basically.
Oh, my God.
And just so happened, I had recently made friends with somebody. Mm-hmm. And his mom had a little efficiency in a townhouse, like right next to FIU.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And I say efficiency, but that's being generous. It was like half of the living room that was converted into a room.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a door. I had a slider.
Okay.
So the glass slider was the entrance and exit to my place.
Okay.
So it was not secure.
No.
Nope.
It wasn't really like private either if it's glass.
No, and it would get hot as shit
Yeah.
during the summer. And I lived there for 3 years.
Ooh.
Yeah, I lived there for 3 years.
Okay.
It was not a great time.
Oh, props to you though. Like
That was during that really bad relationship.
Jeez.
So just adding on to, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
2006 to like 2009 is not the best years of my life.
Yeah.
Entertaining, definitely. I got tons of stories
Okay.
from that time. Very entertaining. You know, I met a lot of really fun people.
Right.
But my own personal life, turmoil. Absolute turmoil.
Oh my god. Did you feel like you were having to like hide like how you're actually feeling during that time?
Isn't that just a man's existence?
Unfortunately.
I joke, but I think I slung the arrow through the door on that one on mine. A little bit to a point. Like everyone knew I was struggling. All the people that I was close to.
Yeah.
And some offered to help, and people would help, and you know we'd go out, and they wouldn't ask me to pay for stuff.
Okay.
You know, hey, we're gonna go out to dinner. I'm like, dude, I can't fucking afford to go to this bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys are gonna pop bottles. I can't go halfsies on that shit.
Yeah. No.
Like, don't worry about it, Chris. Which definitely made me feel good and like valued as a friend. It's
yeah.
Like
they want
they
you
enjoyed my company so much they didn't mind paying for my shit.
Right. Yeah.
And that definitely felt good.
Yeah.
That helped me get through it.
Yeah. Like that kind of stuff is so important too, because like, especially nowadays with like the tiny ass transactions with Venmo or like the asking.
You know what's funny about that is like I hear about that. I see the memes about it.
Yeah.
I've never really experienced that with my friends.
Same here. I haven't either. I think that's more like Gen Z, younger, or just like shitty people. Like,
yeah, it's like, hey, I bought you your McDonald's. Like, you need to give me $5. Like, dude, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel it depends. Like the thing or the friend of the person, or like I don't know, because I feel like if it's either like under 20 or under 50, it's like 50. It's like it depends. Like 20, it's like no.
Yeah, if it's over 50, then I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like But I'm also only asking once.
Right, yeah.
Like, if they don't send me the money, I'm just like, oh, whatever.
Right,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man, this was $50. Send me the money.
Right.
Like, but if it's, and then again, depends on the occasion. If it's their birthday, I got it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now.
Yeah.
In 2025, I got it.
Yeah.
But in 2006, I definitely did not have it.
Right, yeah.
That was not happening.
No, that's true. But yeah, no, that must have also felt pretty good that your friends, you know, wanted you to have a good time though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we also did a lot of house parties, which wasn't super expensive.
Right, because you said bring like a 6-pack.
Exactly. I'll go get a 6-pack of Heineken.
Yeah.
And they'll bring the hookah, and so a lot of my college friends were Middle Eastern or second gen Middle Eastern.
Okay.
And so I got introduced to like whole new foods that I had never had before, and their families were pretty wealthy. Mm-hmm. So they always had good stuff, but they never made me feel like shit for being broke all the time.
That's good.
Because it didn't matter to them. Like we were all just there for a good time to be with each other and hang out and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed those years, that part of those years, because like we would go do fun shit, and you know, they would invite me, as I wasn't like, hey, can I come?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. It felt good to be included.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like, were they people that you could really like, you know, just like talk to open up with as well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's great.
There were two people from that group that I was especially close to. Unfortunately, one of them, me and him had a pretty bit of falling out in the early teens, the 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And then the other one, we just kind of drifted apart. A lot of my life friendships, it's just drifting apart. which is not necessarily a bad thing. You just go in different directions.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You miss what you had, but you recognize that that's not that person anymore.
Yeah.
And you're not the person you were back then.
Right. Yeah.
So you long for those times, but recognize that that's not who you are anymore, and that's not who they are.
Right. Yeah. And like to go back to just house parties and smoking hookah all the time.
Right. And don't get me wrong, it's still fun. I like hosting people at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a fun thing to do, but you can't do that every weekend.
No.
I don't have the juice for that anymore.
No. It's like, I just kind of want my house for me.
I notice the older I get, the shorter my social battery has become.
Yeah.
Not for lack of trying.
Oh yeah, yeah, same.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's just you just get exhausted, and you're like, yo, I haven't just sat in my house and just binged watched a show on a Friday night sort of thing.
The amount of Fridays that I don't have plans has gotten larger and larger and larger, and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt me in my soul. Like, nobody invited me.
Yeah,
that used to bother me.
Like,
a lot.
Yeah, same.
When you're in your early 20s and you find out you didn't get invited to something, like that shit just cuts you right in the heart, just twist.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, they're having a good time. How nice is that?
Yeah, right.
Like, don't even think about the fact that you weren't invited. You're just like, oh, look at that. There looks like they're having a great time. As I'm doing this with my phone, just scrolling, and drinking, boba tea from that we picked up on the way home. Like, do I want to do fun things? Yes, I love going out. I love doing stuff.
Yeah,
and I still go to shows. We still like going to concerts. We still like doing all that stuff. But I can't do it 3 days a weekend anymore.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah, it's just like you start to really feel it. And it's like even if you're not drinking at all, you start.
Oh, and the amount of drinking is so much less.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like 3 beer, or not so much beers for me anymore because I can barely drink that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But like have 3 drinks.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm pretty tapped out now.
Right. Yeah.
We went to I went to a concert. I should have ended up making it. Went to a concert and I drank pretty heavily at that one. And this was recent. I say drank pretty heavily. I had 4 seltzers. I had 4 seltzers, and that was me going crazy.
It's like,
crazy. Oh my god. We should have to do like 4 shots and then have like another 5 or 6 beers. Or whatever.
It's like, I gotta sober up and let me drink some beer.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy becoming these people because we always heard about it when we were in our 20s, and it's like but like you start to like you understand and you appreciate and you like it though.
Yeah, and it's not so much and I think our perspective when we were younger was like we're not fun. Like the people who were older, they weren't fun anymore, and I think to some degree we were right on that. I think especially like Gen X and the younger boomers, they really felt like the weight of responsibility more, and that they had to play this character of an adult more. And I think our generation, I think millennials specifically started this, where it's like you don't have to start hating the things that you loved.
Right.
You can still enjoy those things. You just got to moderate your stuff.
Right.
You know, you can't get drunk every weekend because that makes you an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You can't go, there's only so much money, so it's not like you can go and pop bottles every weekend.
Right.
But, every once in a while you want to splurge and do that stuff.
Yeah.
You can still do that.
Right.
You don't have to live, like you have a child, like you get married, you have a child, and now you live in a convent.
Right.
Like that's the life that boomers lived, and they tried to make Gen X do it, and they fought it a little bit, and we were just like, fuck that.
Right. Yeah.
We're not doing that at all. We reject your reality.
Yeah. I agree. That's true. And I like what I do love about millennials, and I feel like it's just like only millennials, like we really are just kind of we defined adulthood, like we completely redefined it.
And I think the biggest thing about the millennial experience is never stop loving the things that you love just because you got older.
Exactly.
If you could define millennials in that, I think that's that and being broke. Yeah. Yeah. For a really long time.
I know.
and this is a little off topic, but I was getting into this conversation with my folks who are boomers, and we were talking about inflation.
Okay.
And I love my parents, but they say out of pocket and completely nonsensical things sometimes.
Yes.
And they were talking, oh man, I was making so little money in 1982. I was making $8 an hour. And I'm like, Mom, I want you to go on Google right now and look up inflation calculator. And I want you to put $8 an hour in 1982. And I want you to tell me how much money that is in today's dollars. Yeah. So in 1982, my mom was making an equivalent to today of $29 an hour at 19 years old.
Oh my God.
Yes. I didn't make $29 an hour until I was over the age of 25.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
So they bought a house for double their combined household income. I still don't have double my combined income for the house that I own.
Yeah.
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 And I'm 38 and they did it at 23.
That's it.
Yes. So the millennial experience is very different.
Oh, yeah. It's just boomers blaming us. It's like, why aren't y'all doing these things? It's like, because we, can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're all, they're retiring in these McMansions that they built. And it's 5,000 square foot for the two of them.
Right.
Why, bro? Why?
Yeah, no.
Why are you living in this mansion for the two of you? It made sense when you had 3 kids in the house.
Right, barely.
Barely. I mean, they had just had bad taste.
Yeah.
They just wanted to live in a castle. That's all it is. That was McMansion is just the boomer's castle. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they couldn't afford a castle. They couldn't be royalty, so they built McMansions instead.
Let me ask this. What was your cringiest belief and what made you let it go?
So I had a hard time with that one.
Okay.
When we had talked about this before, or when you had sent me the info, I had a hard time with that because I had some pretty I had a real long edgelordy phase, where I would just say things. I didn't believe them, but I would just say things just to get a reaction out of people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Specifically online.
Yeah.
It was more of an online nonsense. But I'd say the real life equivalent was girls don't like nice guys. Girls don't like nice guys. That was definitely the cringiest one. And it had more to do. The older I got, and I moved past that.
Yeah.
But I understood it had nothing to do with being nice. It has all to do with confidence. Okay. Girls do like nice guys. Yeah. But women also like confidence. Yeah. And if you're a meek little boy and don't, you're in your little shell. Yeah. Yeah, they don't even know who you are. Right. Because you're not bringing yourself out there. Right. Now, I may have overcorrected and been a little more boisterous than I should have been. But you got to fake it till you make it.
So if you were to give advice to, I guess the young boys, the young men out today who are kind of have a similar mindset. I mean, what would you say, and how would you, I guess, get through to them if that's possible? Because if you had that belief for a long time,
so you have to come to people where they're at.
That's true. Yeah.
So you have these young people, and I see it because I do talk to young people, and I've.
At your job or something?
In my job, because I do hire younger people. And I just experience in life and talking to younger people. They are in a very different place than I am.
That's fair, yeah.
And if I try to use my own experience, I'm just not going to get through to them because I'm just, okay, boomer. That's going to be their attitude. Yeah. They are in a place where they believe, not necessarily that it's true, but they believe that women hate men. Okay. They believe that the world is, stacked up against them, that society is stacked against men, because of the media they consume. And I was not that far off at the time. It was a little different experience, but there is a whole manosphere now on social media that caters to people who feel men who feel slighted for being men.
Yeah.
And understanding that it comes from a place of not feeling accepted. It comes from that same low self-esteem,
Right. Yeah.
low self-worth place. It's just packaged differently now.
Gotcha.
Part of it is it's packaged to be sold. There is there is a capitalistic effort to monetize these sad boys' sadness.
Yeah, that is true.
They're the Andrew Tates of the world. You know, he's not a unique monster. There are lots of other manosphere type people that are like that.
For sure, yeah.
You know, the
fresh and fit guys, right? I think they have one of them has like a book, the one that's like balding. He's like, I forgot how much the book costs. It's like somewhere on like Why Women Deserve Less. I think that's the name of the book.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I try not to engage with that stuff anymore because it's just making me upset all the time.
Yeah. Were you just engaging with it out of just like sheer curiosity or just...
So it maybe a naive idea that if I understood the enemy, I could fight against them.
Gotcha.
You have these people who are actively engaged in like disinformation and actively engaged in telling youths that, you know, they're not valuable unless they treat women a certain way. But you only will know how if you buy my $1,000 package,
right? Yeah,
you know, and be a hustler.
Yeah,
and to a certain extent, that stuff, similar things, helped me get through the low self-esteem portion of my life that I was in. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Wolf of Wall Street. So Jordan Belfort wrote a sales book, and he has sales trainings and stuff. And I used a lot of that stuff for my work, but also for myself.
Okay.
It's an effective tool, but it is steeped in misogyny.
Gotcha.
And so separating those things out, like it's that whole like broken clock thing where even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah.
There are nuggets of good information in there, but it's just steep in dog shit. What's that guy's name? He's the insufferable Canadian. I can't remember what his name is. He's like a philosopher.
Jordan Peterson?
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, another Jordan.
Jordan Peterson had... I didn't read his book,
right.
But the book that made him huge in this space, one of the big things is like, you know, making your bed every day, cleaning your room.
Yeah. That's how they kind of start.
That is good advice.
It is.
That is a good... It gives you positive energy in the morning because you're accomplishing something. I mean, they literally teach you that in the military.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Yeah.
It gives you that boost in the morning.
Right, yeah.
And he's not wrong. But then it's followed by 10 tons of metric horseshit. Yeah. But it makes them money.
Yeah.
It's that disgusting money-seeking effort.
Yeah.
And once you have money, you can use the money to make more money.
Yeah.
And they flood these kids with ads that make them feel like shit, you know.
Yeah.
We used to complain that women's magazines made women feel ugly, but it wasn't so much that they were trying to make you feel ugly. They just wanted you to buy their shit so that you could look prettier. Right. But it wasn't actively telling you that you're ugly.
Right, yeah.
These things are actively telling you you're a piece of shit unless you do this.
That's true, yeah.
It is a lot more insidious.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, and they do the same thing to women too.
But
the man space,
and
I can only speak to the man space because that's the environment that I'm in.
Right, yeah.
But it's disgusting what they do to these kids.
Yeah.
And the things that come across their feeds. And it's the algorithm.
Right.
So you engage with it.
Yeah.
Guess what? They're going to feed it to you more.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And it's like they're targeting like such young boys, like 10, 12, 13.
Yeah, they start them early. Like you hear these young kids, like 13, 14 years, just say the most out-of-pocket nonsense because they saw it in in a
like a podcast or something.
oh my god. Well, podcast is like the destruction of the thinking man. These manosphere ones, they're just terrible. Oh my god! And the name escapes me now.
What does he look like?
He's the comedian that everyone that he was the announcer for UFC. His name escapes
Joe
me.
Rogan?
Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, only the most popular podcast, but the name is just poof gone out of my head. You know, the most popular podcast in the world.
Yeah.
But he engages in that crap too. Yeah. And he brings in people and he's just asking questions. You know, that's probably the devil. Somebody said something to me recently that I thought was pretty profound. Is the devil doesn't need an advocate. Why are you engaging with that? You don't need to be in an argument. You don't have to be advocating for the devil. Why?
Yeah, that is so true.
All it just tells you is you're being a piece of shit.
Right. Yeah.
Stop being a piece of shit.
Yeah. How do you feel about, like, in a way, like censorship or, I guess how I'm doing like the quote things, but like, if they like platform, I guess someone who's like a Nazi sympathizer or like,
yeah, I think by
like misogynist or something.
I used to be a pretty strong proponent of free speech, because I saw the value in it, because the whole marketplace of ideas thing.
Yeah.
Where if you bring, the market will tell you this is a bad idea and this will not.
Right. Yeah.
But the state of everything has told me that no, that's actually a bad thing.
Right.
Because idiots will still be idiots.
That's true.
And if you give idiots opportunities to voice their idiot opinions and their ignorant opinions, it's just going to combine all the confirmation bias of all the other idiots. Because that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's people had a lot of these thoughts in their heads, but they kept them quiet.
Yeah. Like,
but
there are
now,
people who are secretly thinking that the earth was flat,
Plenty.
Yeah.
But they didn't have this this platform with millions of people now all connected. Because if a million people think something, but they're all hundreds of miles away from each other, they're going to keep quiet about that.
Yeah.
But if millions of people think something and they can all go onto the same online space and talk about their idiot thing and talk about how there's Jewish space lasers and, it creates the environment that we're in now.
Yeah.
So I would say now I'm a much bigger proponent of censorship. I think that there is value in censoring untruths. I
agree. I heard it phrased before, like, they don't sell heroin at the farmer's market. Where it's like, yeah, that's true. Like, you sell all sorts of stuff that are like, you can at least consume or is like relatively good for you. Yeah, you can consume heroin, but you shouldn't be consuming heroin.
Right.
Like, I do think that there is a level of, censorship for things, especially when it was already debunked.
Right.
It's already been like absolutely proven. If there's already records of it happening in history and like people, I guess, don't have pattern recognition to seeing certain things happening again.
Media literacy is definitely a problem just in general.
Yeah.
Where there's still people who think that the MMR vaccine is giving people autism.
I know.
I
think we actually have data on it now where, like, because there's so many anti-vaxxers and the kids are still, some of them are still autistic. So it's like, yeah, it seems like that's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I had this conversation, and this is a conversation I had this week with my mother. So 20 years ago, they just called it ADHD. Or not even ADHD, ADD.
Yeah.
20 years ago, all the kids have ADD now. They're just drugging them up. 20 years before that, they just called them slow, or they called them retarded.
Yeah.
And 20 years before that, he's simple.
Yeah.
We're just defining things that were already there and giving voices to people that existed.
Yeah.
And understand, like, it's going back to the same thing. It's you meeting people where they're at.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
These people have neurological challenges, and we're discovering that yes, autism is a thing, bipolar disorder is a thing, ADHD is a thing, and the more we know, the more we can define it, and the more we can make strategies to help people. And it's not new.
Right. Yes.
These are, guess what? I bet you the guy who was a blacksmith who just wanted to bang on metal every single day for his entire life, I don't think that he was neurotypical. If that, the guy who's making the best horseshoes in the kingdom for 50 years of his life.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet you, I would bet a lot of money that those types of people, those artisan types, especially back then, the Da Vinci's of the world, like the Rembrandts of the world, probably neurospicy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, I've heard.
The more you find out about Nikola Tesla, the more like that dude was autistic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Also,
the man kept pigeons.
Also, I think it's messed up that people don't want to give their kid a vaccine on the off chance that they might become autistic. That's so messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who parents didn't give them tetanus shots after getting injured with rusty metal, and that's rolling. Tetanus is no joke.
Right.
Tetanus has got a very high fatality rate.
Right. Yeah.
We don't think about it because when was the last time you heard about someone dying from tetanus? No, because we treat it now.
Exactly.
Like the fact that measles is coming back, like give me a break.
I know, and people were like saying, and like politicians are saying, like, "Oh, have measles parties." Like, no, don't do that.
I mean, I'm gonna get shingles as an elderly person because I didn't get the chickenpox vaccine because it wasn't available yet.
Yeah.
But my brother missed it by 1 year.
Oh.
But my cousins, they got it because they were 1 year younger than my brother.
Okay.
But they're not going to have to worry about shingles when they get older.
Right, yeah.
I do.
Yeah, same.
And it's not because my parents didn't want to give me a vaccine. They would have given it to me if it was available. But this is how progress goes.
Right.
Things get better. That's the point of progress.
Right, yeah. Yeah, like the thing about like the whole shingles, like it scares me because I've heard of people getting shingles that it's like, it could just come up. Sometimes people have gotten it like early, like in their 30s, like early 30s.
Yep.
And it just like appears somewhere. I knew someone who got it like on their head. And like I saw like little craters on their face, like this was like, I guess like a couple years after he got it. And this is just how I met him. And I just asked him about it. And he was like, yeah, it was shingles. I was like, oh my goodness. I knew someone who had it like in their crotch. So that must have been.
Oh, that sounds awful.
I know.
Oh, man.
Like my friend and him, they got married, but like this was when they were dating. And she was like, what the hell is that? Because he was like walking kind of funny. And
oh, no.
Yeah. No. I'm going to ask this question because I wanted to ask it a little bit earlier. Did you ever get cheated on or have you ever cheated on someone?
Yes to both.
Okay.
Yeah. I got cheated on at least 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least 3 times.
That you know of.
That I know of.
Yeah.
The first time was definitely the worst because it was a new feeling of betrayal.
Right, yeah.
It sucked and I didn't like it. And
yeah.
But I'm gonna put on my hypocrite hat because I cheated on somebody.
Yeah.
When towards the tail end of one of my relationships, it was going nowhere, and I was gonna break up with her, but I wanted to soft land that and just jump directly into the next person that I liked.
Oh, okay.
And so I was talking to that person on the side, securing the bag, if you will. So that I was just jumping from one ship to the next, and I cheated on her during that. I don't know if she ever found out about that. I don't know if she knew.
Yeah.
She may have found out later,
right?
For all I know, but
well, she knows now.
She's not. She doesn't know I'm going to be on this podcast, and I'm certainly not going to share it with her. Hey, by the way, we haven't talked in like 20 years. Why don't you listen to this podcast where I talk about how much of a piece of shit I am? Yeah, I mean...
How old were you, though?
Like 19?
Okay.
18, 19, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And you were homeless at this time?
No, this was before.
Okay.
Actually, probably right before.
Okay.
The girl that I left was for that really abusive one. Yeah.
So it was like instant karma, kind of?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I paid for that one. So don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got what was coming to me.
Right. Oh, boy. Okay. When somebody cheated on you, when was that? How old were you?
I was like 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As an adult, I don't think I've ever been cheated on that I know of. Mm-hmm. It has been alluded to me that the long-term girlfriend was cheating on me, but nothing was ever confirmed. And I didn't look that hard after, because I found out after. I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't want to engage.
You're right, yeah.
Would it shock me? Not even the slightest.
Yeah, because she was like abusive.
Oh, yeah. It was very like abusive, codependent kind of nonsense.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have surprised me.
When did you start noticing like the abusiveness? Like
right at the end. Like within like the last 2 months of it.
And was it like when you thought back you noticed it, or was it just towards the end she started
So we went. There's a specific incident that kind of sparked it and made me realize that things weren't good.
Right.
We went to TGI Fridays.
Okay.
With some friends, and we had been arguing in the car on the way over there, and got to the restaurant. Whatever, we were sat down, but we were still kind of hot about it. And I made a comment, and she turned around and smacked me in the face. In front of the restaurant, just smacked me in the face.
And it was like a legit
hard smack. It wasn't like, okay. It was not a playful tap. No, it was a full hand smack. And that was a particular moment.
Right.
That was a moment of clarity that led to the end.
Gotcha.
It went on for a little bit longer, another 2 months. But at that point, it was like, okay, I'm looking back, and it's like, these are all the signs.
Right. Yeah.
All the, it's the cliche of when you're wearing rose-tinted glasses, all the flags look like.
All the red flags look like flags. Yeah.
So that was the way I had to deal with that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, not a great time.
No. Were you because you said you were in the relationship for like 2 years, 3 years, about.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, was it like a difficult relationship, or like in retrospect, like?
In certain ways, yes.
Yeah.
In certain ways, certain ways it was really easy. Certain ways it was really hard. Mm-hmm. Like we had very similar interests. We liked a lot of the same stuff. We both were big into music. We both like listening to the same type of music. Mm-hmm. And then if I didn't know, like she got me into stuff that I hadn't experienced before, which was cool.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like it's always all bad. There were good things about the relationship. But when you look back in retrospect and you're just like the good did not outweigh the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took me a long part of it was like, I didn't want to be alone.
Okay.
And being lonely, and I didn't want to do that. Mm-hmm. But it just came to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get beat up. Like there was an inciting incident at the end where she didn't smack me, she punched me in the face.
Oh God.
Yeah, we were getting ready to go to a wedding, and yeah, no, it was bad. One of her friends was getting married, mm-hmm. and we were arguing about something, and I made a snide comment. And she turned around and just clocked me in the face.
Shit.
And then that was the inciting incident. Like, I was done.
Yeah.
I drove off. She chased me. I was not joking about the car chase.
Yes.
That was a real thing. We ended up... I had a Jeep at the time, so I took it off-roading to get away from her. Yeah.
What was she driving? Just like a sedan?
A Scion TC.
Okay.
Yes, that was a good car actually. Those little Zions were great.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
They couldn't go off road though.
No,
No.
no,
No.
no. Yeah, no. That Jeep saved my life.
Wow. Okay.
In more ways than one, spiritually, emotionally.
Yeah. No. Shout out to Jeep.
There you go. That car sucked. Fucking electrical issues every day. But I drove that thing for 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was the Jeep that I lived in when I was homeless.
Okay.
Yeah.
A good car to be homeless in.
Yes, you
Yeah.
could lay down the back. It was 2 rows. So
Yeah.
you could lay down the back seat, and you could kind of spread out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Not a bad car to be homeless in. I mean, can you think of like a relationship that like did you have like a relationship that really defined you, like a mentor or like a teacher or something?
Oh, 100%. I count myself pretty lucky about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as I was growing up, I had a lot of good examples in my schools and in my home life. As religious as my parents were, they even when they were wrong, they were trying to do the right thing.
Okay.
And I always appreciated that, even to today.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're wrong, but it's coming from a place of trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And then when I got into the professional world, I was very young. I started working for this company, and I stayed there for a long time. So I kind of had this longevity, and so I started to get mentored because I was there for a long time. And there were 2 mentors that I have, and I started working there at the end of 2005.
Okay.
And I didn't leave until 2020.
Whoa. Okay.
So I worked at the same. Yeah, I'm the weird millennial who actually had a job for a long time.
Damn. Okay.
And not to get off topic, but you know how all of the boomers said, "Oh, go work in the mailroom, and then you'll be the VP one day."
Right. Yeah.
That actually was my experience with that company.
Okay.
Like, I started as a part timer, and when I left, I was running a $32 million business.
Nice. Okay.
So, but the only reason that happened was because I had good mentors.
Right. Okay.
So, because they got a private school kid who was now being thrust into the real world, who had no clue. Mm-hmm. And I had no clue. I had no idea how the real world worked.
Right. Yeah.
I was not prepared.
Yeah.
Like, intellectually, I understood the intellect part of academics and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
But dealing with other human beings,
Right.
no idea.
Yeah.
Completely. And I was already socially awkward as a kid.
Yeah.
So it was very challenging in the beginning, but they knew I was smart. So they knew I would learn. So after about like the first year, they really kind of like honed in and helped me out. And there were 2 of them. One was younger and one was a little bit older. And they were both my bosses. And then one, eventually that was like my boss's boss because he got promoted. But we all stayed in touch. And I still talk to them to this day. It's literally I've been friends with them for 20 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you say that they were like, based on like Gurren Lagann, they were like your Kamina?
No. They are more like my Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they were over 10 years older than me.
Gotcha.
They were wise to the ways of the Force. If you ever played any of the Fire Emblem games?
A little tiny bit of one.
So there's an archetype in all the Fire Emblem games.
Yeah.
There are these tactical,
Like
fantasy
turn-based,
type fighting games, or not fighting games, but like tactical battle games. And there's always a unit in every single one of these games that is an archetype. It's called the Jigen archetype.
Okay.
And what Jigen is that in the very first Fire Emblem game, you had all these units in the game that started out pretty weak. They were all, they were young kids just learning the ways of battle and, rising against the Empire or whatever. Like, that's how all those games kind of start. But there's always this slightly older, wizened warrior that was much stronger than the baseline characters at the start of the game. And as you gain experience, you will quickly outpace them.
Gotcha.
And become more powerful than them. Like, they will not get to the end game based off their strength, because they will kind of cap out. But the weaker characters will be able to be lifted up and become stronger.
Yeah.
I kind of equate them more to that.
Gotcha.
Because they were older and wiser, but they wanted me to grow and they wanted me to be better even than them. They wanted me to learn from their own mistakes.
Yeah.
So and I mean I literally saw one of them, and they don't live in the state right now, but I saw one of them. They're moving back down here, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's moving back with his wife and his 2 kids, and actually might not move far away from my house, which I'm actually especially excited about.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So he's moving back, and the other one who it's probably been 4 years since I've seen him, but we talk probably once every other month.
Yeah, that's really cool.
We talk all the time.
Yeah.
And he's in his mid 40s, or no, wait. No, he's almost 50 now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. He is a little over 10 years older than me.
Okay.
And the other one's like 9 years older than me.
Okay. So not like too big of an age difference between the two.
Correct.
Gotcha.
They're pretty close in age, and they were also pretty close as well.
Right.
So it was good because they could bounce off of each other and then onto me. And I could bounce ideas off of them too. So professionally, personally, I mean, that really toxic relationship I was telling you about, the whole time they're like, Chris, you gotta leave this girl.
Okay.
Please leave this girl.
Yeah. Were they the only ones who wanted you to leave her? Or were
No, everyone did. All of the people in my life that had come before, because all of my college friends were her friends that I made friends with. They liked me, and actually when we broke up, they kind of kicked her to the curb and they kept me for a while.
Okay. That's a good sign.
It was a good sign.
Yeah.
It was. But we went different ways later on.
Yeah.
But my whole family, they all hated her. And that should have been a sign.
Yeah.
But I was also so bent out of shape from what had happened previously with me getting kicked out that I was like, I don't care what you have to say about anything.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you weren't trying to hear that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can be wrong and also right at the same time.
Yeah.
As an older and wiser person now.
Right, yeah.
But when you're 20, like, I'm not trying to hear that. Get the fuck out of here.
I was like, you don't know my life. I was like, no, they do.
They definitely didn't know my life, but they were definitely right about that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
She treated me poorly. They saw it. They saw the way she talked to me. They saw all those things. And my sister hated her so much.
Did you think lowly or negatively of yourself so you were okay with her?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I didn't start improving myself into somebody I wanted to become. Be a person that I was proud to be until after that relationship.
Oh, right, because that's what led into the hoe phase, but which was also
correct
a growing phase.
Yeah, they were happening in tandem.
Yeah. No, I hear that. How did you meet your wife?
So, interestingly, I met her long before we even got close to friendly or romantically involved. I met her the summer of 2005. So I was dating somebody else. I was dating that high school girl.
Right.
I met her at a LARPing event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A couple of my high school friends had graduated a year ahead of me. And when I graduated, I'm going to FIU now, or I was about to go to FIU, and they're like, "Oh, we can hang out more again. Come to this thing."
Right.
And I guess they had discovered LARPing in college.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you should come and do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, totally. I love nerdy stuff."
Right. Yeah.
And so, in Tropical Park in Miami, there is on Sundays what they would do is there was this back area that nobody really went over to because there was no tables and chairs and places to hang out, and they would have mock battles with foam weapons.
Yes,
and I had a blast doing that. I did that for probably about 4 months, but then got distracted by girls and kind of went off into it. But that was how I met my wife.
Yeah.
She was there. We actually were never on the same side. We were always fighting against each other.
Yeah.
But I didn't know her from anybody. She was just on the other side.
Right.
And then fast forward 4.5 years later. Actually, no, full 5 years later because it was 2010.
Okay, so you already gone through the the abusive relationship.
Yes.
And then, well, the high school relationship, abusive relationship, hoe phase.
Correct.
And now we're in 2010.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm on the tail end of the hoe phase, and I start talking to a couple of people, and I come to find out that FIU is going to do they needed people to do some stuff for the anime convention they used to hold. They used to do an anime convention at FIU.
Was this after you graduated?
At FIU?
Yeah.
Oh, I never graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I was a super duper 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 sophomore.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't get my AA, I think, until 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, no. College, I struggled in college a lot because of work.
Gotcha.
I was working full time at like not a bullshit job.
Right.
So that took a lot of my mental energy, and I
Yeah.
just didn't have the juice to do that in school at the same time.
That's fair.
But I would take classes.
Yeah.
So I was at FIU, and FIU used to hold an anime convention every year called YusumiCon, and I knew some of the people who were helping run it. And so they were, hey, we need some help, people doing some volunteers. We're going to do this event. Would you like to help? I'm like, I saw a bunch of pretty girls, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to help. It was I don't know if you've ever seen it, the maid cafes that they have in Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were doing a maid and butler cafe.
Oh,
so the
okay.
women were going to be in maid outfits, and the men were going to be in butler outfits.
Yeah.
And
So you're like, oh, yeah, absolutely, I'm doing this.
Yeah, totally. And we were going to do like a dance, and like we were going to serve tea and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to the practices because we had there's choreography we have to learn. So I'm talking to a couple of girls. Ended up talking to Aisha, and Aisha and I really kind of hit it off. And so we start talking, and it's super casual. Like I knew that I wanted to get a longer term relationship, but I wasn't like actively looking for it.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I was in the space to accept it, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so we're talking, and we're going on dates and hanging out, and we're probably maybe like 2 months into this, where she's like, I'm probably going to move back. I'm going to move back to my family in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Because her family had moved away.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
And I told her, well, I'm not doing long distance. Like, I'm not interested.
Right.
So, we'll hang out, we'll have a good time, whatever. But when you leave, we'll say goodbye and it'll be it. And a couple months go by and no change. And a couple more months go by. And now it's like, we've been together like 6 months now. And it's like, and she's like, well, I'm not going to leave anymore. We're like, well, this is kind of serious now.
Right. Yeah.
This is like a real relationship.
Yeah.
And the thing is, probably the first 4 months, we were still talking to other people and dating other people.
Yeah.
So like that first 4 months was not exclusive at all.
Yeah.
Between both of us.
Yeah.
And then it became more serious, and then more serious and more serious and more serious. And then we eventually got married.
Yeah.
We were together 5 years when we got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this was 2015?
2015, yep.
Yeah.
This year will actually be 10 years that we've been married.
Wow.
And 15 years together.
Damn, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. I got a good one.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yeah. She's gorgeous.
She is.
Yeah.
She is definitely prettier than me. I hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was how that relationship started. It started super duper casual. And it grew from there. And I think that actually was part of it. The low stress of it in the beginning, and not like trying to build up this, oh my God, is he the one? Is she the one?
Yeah.
That stress of like, is every person, and I'm so glad that I did not have to deal, and this is obviously, or not obviously, but this is like right before Tinder blew up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you ever did like OkCupid.
I did exactly 0 online dating.
Nice.
I snuck in right at the finish line, right before the cesspool of Tinder and Plenty of Fish and OkCupid and
like Match.com and things. Yeah.
Yeah. I consider myself very fortunate that I got in right before it got crazy.
Yeah.
Not that that you can't find a real relationship or a good relationship online, but you got to sift through a lot of chaff.
Yeah.
It is tough.
It is. I hated the dating apps. I think everybody does. it's just.
And when you're in your early 20s, it's not that big of a deal because you bang and you go. Like, that was a bad bang. I'm going to move on.
Right.
Oh, it was good. Like, maybe a couple more times and then move on.
Right.
Like, you're not worried about getting married when you're 20.
Right.
But
yeah.
when you're like 25, 26.
I don't know. Because, like, I still, like when you're, at least for me, because, like, you know, like, I lost my virginity when I was like 23, and
that's relatively late.
I know. And like, honestly, Jacob is my first boyfriend. Like, I've never had like a serious relationship.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah.
Oh shit, I did not know that.
I know. This is my cringe like reveal.
I'm gonna save myself for
yeah, like that's and then, like, you know, like, shit hit the fan with like my life, and I was like, yo, what am I doing? I gotta like start living. So that's kind of like what ended up happening. But I was trying to think what I was like even like I wanted like a serious relationship, especially if I was gonna like lose my virginity to somebody, or like even afterwards. It's like I just had like that mindset of just like
that definitely wasn't my mindset.
Yeah. I don't know
for losing my virginity, but
well, not
I think that's more like the toxic masculinity stuff.
Okay.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but I can appreciate that you didn't want that experience,
Right.
and you were like, okay, I want this to actually like be with somebody I care about.
Yeah, and it kind of ended up not even being the case, really. Like, it was like this guy I was dating for a while, but he ended up just like being like an absolute piece of shit. So
as happens.
Right. So it's like, I mean, you know, like, then I just kind of just started like doing my own thing. Was I like hoe phasing it hard? I don't think so, but like, I don't know. Depends on who you ask. But
well, and actually that brings a good point. Not everybody thinks of hoe phases the same way.
Right. Like my
definition of hoe phase is not going to be the same as your definition of hoe phase.
Like, I had like an involuntary hoe phase, like involuntary sales and involuntary. Like, I kind of like
you dated a bunch of guys, but that wasn't the plan.
Like, I didn't. Like, they just, you know, they just wanted something casual, because that's what they all say on dating apps. Like, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious, not looking for anything serious, not looking for anything serious, not looking for anything serious. And then they just not look for anything serious themselves into like the loneliness epidemic.
Well,
but
and I
joking,
think part of that.
Kinda.
Well, no, it's
Kinda, like,
we're haha, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys are afraid of that commitment because they especially like people who came from divorced parents.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, people who have divorced parents are like, well, I'm really gonna look for the person for real for me when it's time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just gonna enjoy myself for a little while, not realizing that they didn't build the skills they needed to be a good partner.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think it's exclusive to divorcee kids, but in my small bubble that I have seen, I have noticed that when the kids of divorced parents go out and start dating, they're much more freer about they're okay with casual until they're not okay.
Yeah. Right.
And then they're 30 and they're like, I've never been in a real relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm lonely now. And I hate everyone.
Maybe for what
because they turn that inward date outward.
Right, yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, it wasn't like my case, even though my parents should have been divorced, like,
Oof.
since ever. But
they're not now, though, right?
They're divorced now.
Okay.
Yeah, they divorced, I think like they separated 2019. And then
right before the pandemic.
Yeah, and then got divorced like 3 days before the pandemic, really.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
yeah.
It was their fault, actually.
It was their fault. They should stay together.
I always joke with people whenever they say that they did something like right before the pandemic. It's like, oh, so it's your fault.
That's funny.
It's an evergreen joke.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
Be like, oh yeah, man, we went to Disney like 3 days before everything shut down. I'm like, well, then it was your fault.
Right.
You're the one who brought it.
Right. You shouldn't have gone to Disney.
Yeah. It's funny in like the haha, but I'm actually crying inside way.
Yeah. Because I think we all kind of missed the before times.
I barely remember 2020. Like 2020 is such a blur for me.
Because it just kind of blends in from like 2020 to 2022.
100%.
Yeah.
I bought a house in there. It still blends. Yeah. It still blends. Yeah. Well, I was also out of work for a long time.
Right, that's true.
And so when you're extended out of work for a long time, it messes with your brain on time because you have no concept of time anymore.
Right, yeah.
You know, I didn't work for almost 2 years.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, I was also sick.
Right, yeah, I remember.
So,
yeah.
Like, if I was just like, I'm unemployed, ha ha ha, this is great. No, I just was feeling crappy all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank goodness Aisha could take care.
Yeah. Well, to reconfirm, you got yourself a good one.
I did. Yeah. I did get a good one.
I mean, that's cool. Like for like the first 6 months, like the last 2 of the 6 months, you guys were starting to get serious. But the first 4 months was just y'all getting to know each other, just like very,
100%.
Like,
we did a lot of dates. You know, doing like honestly, kind of like the stereotypical stuff. You know, go out to the movies. We did a lot of tea shop stuff.
Okay.
There was this really cute tea shop not far from FIU. Actually, I think it's still there.
Okay.
It's this place called Specialty.
Okay.
Shout out. Maybe you want to sponsor the episode.
Yeah.
And they made just incredible food. Mm-hmm. And they had, like, when you think of tea in America, we typically think of like the Lipton little baggies.
Yeah.
And they had all sorts of flavors and types of tea. And that was a brand new experience for me. And I loved it.
Right.
And she was also into it too.
Yeah.
So we bonded over that. And so we would go there all the time. I mean, we would probably go there at least once a week for probably like 3 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We loved that place. We would go a lot.
Nice.
And I knew the staff. They knew us. Mm-hmm. I don't remember any of their names because it's been so long. Right. But and I think they're divorced now because they were a couple. Oh. But again, it was a super cute small place, like right next to FIU.
Right.
So you know, she lived right down the street from there. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I had moved back in with my parents because the recession was full force.
Yeah.
I think we were starting the uptick in 2010, but yeah, I had to move back. It was bad.
That's true. Yeah. So, and your parents were okay with you moving back in? They'd forgiven you?
Well, forgiven is a strong term. I think they made peace with the reality. Uh-huh. And I think they just wanted to have their son around again. Mm-hmm. Because when I separated, I just didn't interact with them.
Gotcha.
I didn't talk to them for like a year and a half.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would visit other family members, and I wouldn't talk to them.
Wow.
Yeah, and that hurt them. Mm-hmm. That hurt them a lot. And I definitely did it on purpose because I was angry.
Yeah.
I'm not angry about it anymore.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't feel good about it either.
Oh, really?
No. It was... Okay. Here's the thing. I was being a disrespectful shit.
Yeah.
But I was also 18.
Yeah.
And they were the adults in the room.
That's true.
So... do I lay the blame a little bit on myself? Yes, I wasn't doing the things my parents wanted to do. But I was also a young adult. Mm-hmm. And I also know that my father was doing exactly the same shit I was doing when he was 18. So, and he didn't get kicked out.
Oh, damn, okay.
No, but it is what it is. Like,
right, yeah.
These are things that happened. I've made a peace with it. And we have an understanding now.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, that's good.
You gotta gray rock them.
Yeah.
You know that they're not gonna accept the things that I do and the things that I like and the people that I like, and you just I'm just not gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
And that creates a peace.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Would you say you have a good relationship with your parents now?
It's positive, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a positive relationship.
Okay.
I talk to them probably 3-4 times a week.
Okay.
mostly out of guilt.
Really?
Well, so, and they're not going to hear this, so I can say this. If I don't call my parents for a certain number of days, I will get a phone call telling me I need to call my mother. So it's just easier to placate them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It is easier for me to placate it than hear the, you're making your mother feel sad, blah, blah, you don't want to talk to her. And I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you.
Right.
But again, gray rock. You can only tell them so much.
Well, yeah. Yeah, true.
Because then everything becomes a lesson. And then it is what it is.
Yeah, that is so true.
I because I did listen to that episode, I feel like you've had to do something similar with your parents.
About like gray rocking. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure because like there was a lot of things that I would like tell my mom, but like it took me a long time to realize that, you know, for pretty much like my whole life, and this is a true and good advice that she would give me, was like, you know, make sure you don't tell everybody everything, like your whole business, because they could use it against you. It's like, yeah, that is true. That is good advice. But there were moments when I realized like she would kind of like use it against me, you know, like things that. So I was like, wait a second, was this like
she wanted you to be vulnerable so that she could use it against you, but only to her.
Yeah. And this is something I just realized, you know, just I guess probably like 4 or 5 years ago. But I don't really know. I guess like was just like everything that was just going on with her. Like, and she's the type of person who just kind of just like talks and, you know, wants you to listen about everything about her, but she doesn't really like ask about you. So I just don't really need to share. I can
empathize with that. I catch myself doing that shit all the time. I have verbal diarrhea, and I know that about myself. Okay. I try to be better, but I can empathize with that feeling that you're feeling. Yeah. I can empathize that I probably have done it to you today.
I mean, this was kind of the point, though.
I know, but you know, it's supposed to be a conversation, and I feel a little bit like I vomited at you.
It's fine.
Again, I know that was the purpose. Yeah. I know the purpose was the interview, but again, bleh.
Like my mom is she's definitely like an interesting person, and the few years that she was living with me, I got to like just really know just her, and it was very eye-opening, and you know, like I just learned a lot about her, and like there was like there's like, especially recently, I've been noticing just a lot of similarities between her and me, and it's weird because it's like I wanted to just not have any sort of similarities to like my parents, but I've been noticing I definitely have a temperament like my dad, and just like more so like kind of like more so mellow, even though my dad has like a whole other bullshit that I'm not gonna get into. And you know, my mom
that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, that's a whole other like season. And I've been like getting into plants and liking plants, and my mom loved plants like my whole life, and she still does. And like I'm starting to appreciate and see why, because it's just so exciting when the leaves grow, and you did that. Like it's like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, having a green thumb feels good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know because I've never been able to keep anything alive. But the people who do, they always talk about how much they love it.
Yeah, like it is fun. It is awesome. Like I brought this plant in as my plant buddy.
That's your plant buddy?
Yeah.
That's a real one. That's not.
Yeah, it's a real one. Okay.
That one is not plastic.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to bring in a plant for the last episode. I was like, let me just have something over here.
You just need a little bit of green. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, show it to home.
That's funny.
Yeah. How did you know that your wife was the one?
That's a good question. I didn't. I didn't at first.
Yeah.
I think I grew to understand that we were compatible for long term.
Gotcha.
You know, she has always been like the cat, I guess you can say, where like, don't pet me. Don't pet me. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, too much affection, she's suspicious.
Okay.
And I've always been an affectionate person. That's just the person I am.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just having that relationship with her for a long time and being comfortable with her, and the longer we were together, the more we understood how different we were. Mm-hmm. And it was still okay that we were different, and being okay with each other's differences. Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of people, when they get in relationships, they're like obsessed with what you're similar, and that becomes your whole relationship. But then if you ever change that, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And we're different. We are different people.
Yeah, you started out different.
We started out different. We've had very different upbringings.
Right.
We liked a lot of the same stuff. You know, we liked similar musics. We liked similar animes. We liked similar media. You know, we had similar values in like the way we treat people and treat each other.
Okay. Sure.
Which that part is important for sure.
Yeah.
But the differences were important because we could celebrate each other's, you know, successes in those things.
Yeah.
You know, when, you know, Aisha's is more of a tech person.
Yeah.
You know, she's been in the tech business and the design business for significant long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know dick about that. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I know a lot more about it now.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, it's not something that really interests me.
Right.
Like, I'm happy that she's happy.
Yeah.
But for me, I can take it or leave it. Doesn't matter much to me.
Yeah.
But I enjoy that it makes her happy. I enjoy that she gets excited about it. It is something that she is excited about. You know, she's not really a gamer anymore. She kind of had stopped gaming, but she appreciated the art and the design of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she does have that aesthetic eye.
Right.
So if something's pretty or if something is designed well, she always liked that. And so we can bond on that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we both like having alone time.
Yeah.
We both like having that. That is an important part of each of us. Like, we both are that way. So it's very important that we spend a lot of time with each other, but we also have dedicated time to doing our own things.
Yeah.
So like, if she wants to go out with her friends, go out with your friends. I don't care.
Right.
Go do whatever you're gonna go do. Just let me know you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if I'm gonna go out and hang out with my buddies, just let me know you're okay.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm gonna play video games for 12 hours, go make art, whatever. we have that relationship where we can be with each other when we're with each other, and when we're not with each other, we're not with each other. We're with other people and enjoying their company, and we don't need to be in each other's asses all the time. Like, we make fun of them. We make fun of those types of people who are the couples who are conjoined at the hip.
Yeah.
Like, they're just drunk on each other's presence.
Yeah.
Because we personally think it's fake.
Okay.
Like, I don't know that it is real.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But my impression is like that they're putting on an act for others.
Huh.
Or worse, it's codependence. So I'm very mistrustful of couples that are like all up in each other's business all the time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, I hear that. Because I never really like thought of it like that, as like it being fake, because it totally could be. I'm sure for a lot of relationships that's the case.
And Aisha and I have never really been the keeping up with the Joneses people. Mm-hmm. We've never been like, oh, I need to have the nicest thing because, you know, this guy got this thing. But that's still a big thing for people.
That's true, yeah.
Like, South Florida is especially bad about this.
Oh, yeah.
It's
yeah.
like, I have to be seen. I have to be heard.
Right.
People need to know.
Yeah.
And we could give less than a shit about that.
Right, yeah.
Like, I have nice things because I want that thing.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's for me.
Yeah.
She wants nice things because that's for her.
Right.
Like, Do I want to show off the cool toy sometime? Absolutely, because I'm excited about the toy, not because I need to show that my dick is bigger than everybody else's.
Right.
That's not the point.
Right.
You know, when we have people like, oh, look at my new cool toy. You want to try it? Like, this is for, to share with other people. Like, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I like sharing stuff with people because it's fun.
Right, yeah.
Not because I want to make them feel like they're lesser.
Right, yeah. Were you ever like that kind of person where you felt like you had to keep up with the Joneses at some point?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think part of that was when you're so broke, you just kind of appreciate things for what they are.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't grow up poor. Like, we were solidly middle class.
Yeah.
Like, there were three kids, on mostly one salary. My dad was a cop. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't make a lot of money.
Right.
He had to work overtime to put us through school.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, and he was always present, by the way. He worked overtime, but he was not an absentee father.
Gotcha.
And my mom they were always present. So, but we were surrounded. We went to private Catholic school. We were surrounded by trust fund kids. Well, actually, trust fund's probably a little too much. The generational wealth.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not quite trust fund. These were not kids with Bugattis.
Okay.
These were kids who had Beamers.
Okay.
Like that, not quite trust fund, but they had money.
Right, yeah.
And so I didn't see the point because there's no way as a 14-year-old am I going to compete with this. So what's the point of competing with the Joneses?
Gotcha.
But I did definitely feel a certain way about people who had a lot more.
For sure, yeah. Like, did you feel, I guess, like, since you realized there was no point, did you feel, like, dejected? Or was it just like a...
No, it honestly, it made me strive to want to do more.
Okay.
And to be successful.
Gotcha.
Because I, especially once I got into the real world and saw how ill-prepared I was for the real world, I was like, oh, no. I'm going to succeed out of spite. I appreciate certain things about my upbringing, but I was way too sheltered. That Catholic school experience is such a sheltered existence, and it does not prepare you to deal with regular people. But that's, I hate to say it like this, but I don't think you're supposed to. I think you come out of that experience and you go be with those other people too.
Yeah, like get married as soon as possible and have kids as soon as possible.
And you get married to people in your social strata.
Right.
Other people in that same income bracket.
Yeah.
And but that's not the real world.
Right, yeah.
The real world is everybody. And when I saw that, it was like, oh, well, I'm definitely not going to be a billionaire. That's not happening.
Right.
But I do want to live a comfortable life, and that's what I worked to make happen. And that's what I have.
Yeah. No, true.
I don't worry about paying my bills every month. Actually, I rarely even checked to make sure that they did get paid. I actually got burned on that one the other day. I forgot that my credit card got stolen, and damn. Well, actually, it was my debit card, and I only had one bill on that card.
Oh, okay.
So I get an email like, we're gonna shut off your water. Like, what? Like, no, I pay my bills. What the hell? And it was because the card, I had forgotten that bill was on that card.
Right. Yeah. Oh, damn.
So I had to pay like 3 months worth of water all at once, which again, the money never came out, so it's not like it was missing.
Okay, fair.
So it was but it was annoying that I had to go do it. But was I worried I wasn't going to have the money? No. And I can specifically remember when it happened, when I stopped having to check my bank account every bill day. And that was like, oh my God, you lift that weight off your chest and your shoulders, and you just feel so much lighter.
Yeah, you do.
And your life changes forever from them. When you stop having to worry if you have enough money in the bank account to cover your bills, it changes your life.
Yeah.
But it took a long time for that to happen. I think I was like 25 when that happened.
Okay.
For the first. No, actually, I was older. I think I was like 26, 27.
Okay.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. Like growing up, my family lived paycheck to paycheck, and it was, like it was just like really rough because everything just always felt like tight and constrained. It's like it's a very stressful environment to be in.
Yeah.
So when I was young, I said, when I get older, I'm never living paycheck to paycheck, and I did not. I lived true to that. Like,
yeah, and it's the whole if you don't keep up with the Joneses, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't live beyond your means, it's a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And knowing and being honest with yourself about what your means are. Mm-hmm. That was probably the hardest thing, was really understanding what your means were, and then doing the living after that. Mm-hmm. Because if you know you're only going to bring in so much money every month, guess what? You need to plan ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And they say, like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That was one of the interesting lessons that I learned in my work, because of the business that I'm in. You have to plan, but the plan is so fluid. It's crazy, because like if your plan at 7:00 in the morning is not going to make it to 8:00. But if you didn't have a plan at 7:00, there's no way you would have got through the day. Mm-hmm. Even though the plan is fluid,
yeah,
you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's a life lesson, though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Because, the things that just life throws at you, it's like you got to at least be prepared for something. Like, you don't know.
Yes.
It's like you might have like a $500 bill. You don't know what it's going to be, but it's
and I use this as a perfect example. I didn't work for 2 years.
Yeah.
I paid my bills the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I had planned.
Yeah.
I had prepared. Now, part of that was luck, because we were saving up to buy a house. Mm-hmm. And so we had funds. Mm-hmm. But, that wasn't the original plan, but it ended up working out because I had a plan.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I still had to dig myself out of a hole once I started working again. But I had a plan. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't stressed out about it. Mm-hmm. But that first paycheck was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This the number's going up now. I'm not so afraid anymore.
Yeah. No, it is like a weight lifting off your shoulders.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on.
This has been a pleasure. I had more fun than I even expected I was going to.
Yay!
I podcasts as a media I enjoy, but I've never been like, that married to the platform. But recently, I've gotten more interested in it, and just having a conversation.
Right,
it's fun to sit here and talk with people that you like and have a fun conversation.
Right, yeah. Like I wasn't trying to talk to you about your book or something that.
When I do have a book, you just got to buy it, though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When he writes it about the things that he is writing about.
I'm not writing anything.
No.
It'll have to be an audio, because I'm better at diction than I am at writing.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have Aisha write it. She's a much better writer than I am.
Oh, she's a great writer. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
Oh, it's 100% true. She is much more artistically minded than I am.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Do you want to, I don't know, say like how people can find you, or like, no, you don't, I can cut this out, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I don't have any socials that are prepared for interactions with others.
Yeah, you're just a regular ass guy.
I'm just a regular ass guy for now. For now.
Okay.
That may change. We may add a tag at the end.
But yeah, Chris, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. You too. That was great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's about my favorite topic, myself.